We're taught that technology evolves one slow, predictable step at a time. But if you dig into the archives, you'll find that history is actually full of glitches. Cast your mind back to 2004. Mobile phones had blurry, pixelated screens, and you had to carry a clunky MP3 player just to hear your music. The idea of holding the open internet, Hollywood movies, and a powerful computer in a single hand? That was science fiction. Until Sony decided to break the rules. They didn't just shrink a PlayStation, they engineered a mechanical marvel. Instead of using cheap plastic cartridges, they built a tiny motorized vault for actual optical discs. When you snapped that UMD drive shut, the console felt heavy. It felt like you were holding a piece of classified hardware. But the real story of the PSP wasn't the games. 3 years before the world ever heard the word iPhone, this machine had a sleek, minimalistic interface, connected to Wi-Fi, and let you browse the actual web. It was the first true digital Swiss Army knife. It was a prophecy wrapped in black plastic. The PSP proved we were ready to carry our entire digital lives in our pockets. But while Sony was looking ahead to the smartphone era, another company was trying to force the internet into the 1990s. Rewind even further to 1998. The internet was a loud, agonizingly slow experience tethered to a massive beige box on a desk. Console gaming was purely local, something you did sitting on the floor next to your friends. But Sega was tired of waiting for the new millennium. They dropped the Dreamcast, and right out of the box, it featured a piece of hardware that completely terrified the industry: a physical, built-in 56K modem. You didn't just plug this console into your television, you hardwired it directly into your house's phone line. Years before Xbox Live or the PlayStation Network were even a concept, Sega had built a global online infrastructure. They literally gave a gaming console a keyboard and a mouse. People were surfing the web, checking emails, and playing online multiplayer matches right from their living room couches. It was a fully functional PC disguised as a plastic toy. The Dreamcast ultimately died, not because the machine was flawed, but because the world simply didn't have the internet speed for it yet. But if you think putting the internet on a TV in 1998 was early, wait until you see what was driving down the highway in 1986.
Touch the new Buick Riviera, and it touches you.
In 1986, the peak of automotive technology was a cassette deck. But Buick decided to rip out the physical dashboard buttons and replace them with something straight out of a sci-fi movie: a cathode ray tube touchscreen. They called it the Graphic Control Center. It wasn't just a gimmick, it was a deeply integrated computer. You touched the thick, curved glass to change the radio, adjust the AC, and run engine diagnostics. 30 years before Tesla. But it was a disaster. Drivers hated it because they had to take their eyes off the road just to turn up the volume. Buick killed the touchscreen by 1990. They were completely right about the future of cars. They were just decades too early. The Buick put a computer in your dashboard. But 5 years later, another company tried to put an entire office into a brick. In 1992, a cell phone was a massive plastic weapon that only did one thing: make terrible-sounding phone calls. But IBM looked at that brick and asked a dangerous question. What if we just removed the keyboard?
Okay, remember on Star Trek when they carried those little handheld devices that could talk to spaceships and everything? Well, this communicator doesn't do that, but it comes very, very close. This is Simon. Simon also doesn't look like your personal computer, does it? But you can create, send, and receive email anywhere. It's wireless, you know?
15 years before Steve Jobs unveiled the iPhone, the IBM Simon was the world's first true smartphone. It had a massive LCD touchscreen. You used the stylus to manage your calendar, update your contacts, and write emails. You could even physically draw on the screen and send it as a live fax over a cellular network. You could download third-party apps by plugging physical memory cards into the bottom. It had predictive typing. It was a total technological miracle. It also cost a fortune, and the battery died in exactly 1 hour. It was a smartphone trapped in the 90s. But while IBM was trying to put a computer in your pocket, another company was trying to trap your entire head in the metaverse.
It came from the third dimension with its own brain.
Decades before the Oculus Rift or the Apple Vision Pro, Nintendo tried to force the metaverse into existence. In 1995, they released the Virtual Boy, the world's first mainstream consumer VR headset. It didn't use normal screens. It used an oscillating mirror system to project stereoscopic 3D images directly into your retinas. But because of hardware limitations, it could only display 2 colors, pitch black and a blinding laser pointer red. It was an ergonomic nightmare. It caused severe motion sickness, neck pain, and headaches. Nintendo killed it in less than a year. It is widely considered their biggest failure. But look at it now. VR is a multi-billion-dollar industry. Sometimes a massive failure isn't actually a failure at all. It's just a prototype that the rest of the world wasn't ready for yet. What do you think is leaking into our world right now?